Hey guys, I'm Reagan.
And I'm Izzy.
And we're reading Geronimo and the Gold Medal Mystery. Not the Olympics again. It was a sweltering hot summer morning. When my alarm went off, I dragged my shy tail out of bed and turned on the radio for the latest news. The Olympics are about to begin, the radio announcer shouted. And I do mean shouted. I rolled my eyes. Rat-munching rattlesnakes, the Olympics? That's all anyone in New Mouse City ever talks about. It's all sports, sports, sports. Why doesn't anyone ever get excited about the latest book on Neo-Platonic comparative philosophy? I said with a sigh. I flipped to the newspaper and saw a huge headline. Only 3 days to the Olympics. Moldy mozzarella. The Olympics again? I snorted. I left my mouse hole and headed for the office. And what was the first thing I saw? Workers putting up an enormous TV screen in the middle of town? Why? So everyone could watch the Olympics live, of course. I got to the office and saw that everybody was abuzz. They were all talking about the Olympics, of course. So I locked myself in my peaceful office. You see, I'm a little bit of a book mouse. Oops, that reminds me. I almost forgot to tell you. My name's Stilton. Geronimo Stilton. I'm the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Rodents Gazette, the most popular newspaper on Mouse Island. I was settled in reading a manuscript when suddenly I heard a roar of motor approaching. There was only one mouse I knew who would dare make that much noise in my nice, quiet office.
Gary Barry, I need a teensy-weensy favor. A second later, the door burst open and my sister Thea, special correspondent to the Rodents Gazette, made a grand entrance. Thea, how many times do I have to tell you not to ride your motorcycle into my office? I groaned. My sister ignored me. She went right ahead and parked her bike on top of my desk. In the process, she squished my tail, flattened my paw, and stained my favorite jacket with motor oil. Before I could squeak in protest, she bent down and whispered sweetly in my ear, "Little brother, I bought you your favorite cheese puffs from the bakery. You know, the ones with blue cheese stuffing and Parmesan sprinkled on top? That did sound delicious, but I was worried. When my sister acts nice, it's usually because she has something up her fur. Gary Barry, I need to ask you an itsy-bitsy, teensy-weensy little favor," Thea continued. I smiled. I know my sister like a cat knows its claws. And even though she drives me crazy, I'd do anything for her. Sure, what is it? I need you to cover the Olympics, she blurted out. I was stunned. But, I thought Grandfather asked you to cover it. Our grandfather, William Shortpaws, was the founder of the Rodents Gazette. He ruled with an iron paw. Yes, but something came up. Besides, you're such a fine rodent, so intelligent, so professional, so on top of things. Forget it. I know squat about sports, I objected. Thea just smiled at me. But you've got to go. It's been decided. Even Grandfather said so. As if on cue, the phone rang. I picked it up at once. "Hello, Stilton here, Geronimo Stilton." A voice thundered in my ears so loudly my eardrums almost shattered. "Shortpaws here, William Shortpaws." I sighed deeply. Before I knew it, my grandfather started barking orders at me. "Grandson, listen up. 1, run straight home and pack your suitcase. 2, go straight to the airport. 3, take the first flight to Athens. You're going to cover the Olympics. First, I want you to write a juicy article for the Rodents Gazette. Then, I'll need you to do a daily live TV broadcast. And finally, since you'll already be there, make sure to pick me up some Greek cheese." I tried to reason with him. But, Grandfather, I'm busy." "Don't argue with your grandfather," he thundered. What could I do? Thea has always had Grandfather wrapped around her little paw. And of course, there's no arguing with Grandfather once he's made up his mind. There was nothing to do but scamper home, pack my suitcase, and get to the airport as fast as my paws could carry me.
I am a true, gentle mouse. I boarded the plane to Athens and started looking for my seat. As soon as I had settled in, I heard a high-pitched squeak. Ooh! I turned in and saw the flight attendant with a velvety fur coat, a slender snout, and powdered whiskers. She had fake eyelashes, bright red lipstick, and her long polished nails. Her crooked little paws were squeezed inside yellow spiked high heels. I noticed she had just dropped her handkerchief. Being a gentle mouse, I got up and ran to receive it. I bowed, kissed her paw, and gave it back to her. "Ooh, you are such a true gentle mouse," she squeaked. Then she accidentally dropped a small suitcase right on my paw. "Ouch!" I screamed, but I wasn't about to let a little pain get in the way of good manners. So I reached down to pick up the suitcase. Then I bowed, kissed her paw, and gave it back to her. "At your service, madame," I said. At that moment, she dropped an enormous suitcase on my left paw. "Wowza!" I screeched, when I still managed to reach down, pick up the heavy suitcase, return it to her bow, and kissed her. "Still at your service, madame," I gasped. The flight attendant ducked her head modestly. "Oh, you are such a polite little mouse. Would you mind helping me show the movie?" Moments later, I was wrestling with a mountain of film strips and had them wound themselves around my neck like little snakes. "I'm suffocating," I hissed desperately. As soon as I had untangled the tape, I bowed to the flight attendant and kissed her paw. "Still at your service, madame," I gasped. She smiled secretly at me. "Oh, you are such a sweet mouse. Would you mind helping me clean all the restrooms on the plane?" I had no choice but to clean these foul-smelling plane restrooms. The stench was enough to knock a sewer rat unconscious. When I finished, I gave the flight attendant back to the pail and brush. She gave me the sweetest smile yet. "Oh, you are such a knowledgeable mouse. Would you mind?" Now I was truly worried. What else could she want me to do? Fly the plane? I am a very, very nervous mouse, you know. So I asked very cautiously, "How else may I help you, madame?" It was then I took a closer look at the flight attendant and realized something extremely bizarre.
"My dear Stilton, did you like my little joke?" The flight attendant had a banana peeling out of her pocket. I peered at her. There was something familiar about that long, slender snout and those crooked little paws. Could it be? This was no flight attendant. It was my old friend, Hercule Poirot, the private detective. He often traveled undercover in order to keep his investigations a secret. He truly was a master of disguise. Why, he'd even fooled me, and we've been friends since kindergarten. Hercule whipped off his wig and false eyelashes. "My dear Stilton, did you like my little joke?" he asked, chuckling. I tried to be a good sport. Really, I did, but the memory of those restrooms was too much for me. "No," I shrieked. I didn't find it funny at all, but Hercule had already forgotten about the dirty tricks he'd played on me. That was just like him. "You're going to the Olympics, right?" he asked in a low voice. "Why, yes," I stammered, surprised. "Why do you ask?" Before he answered, Hercule looked around to see if anyone was listening. "I'm going to the Olympics too," he whispered at last. "Any idea why I'm going to the Olympics?" "I don't have a clue," I told him. "And I'm not sure I want to know. I'm a bit of a scaredy mouse, as you may know." "Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you anyways," he said. "Look, something rotten is going on at the Olympic Games. I could really use your help, old friend." "Sorry, but I can't help this time, Hercule," I said. "I'm going to Athens to write a special report on the Olympics for the Rodents Gazette. My grandfather has me snout deep in work all week long." Hercule didn't seem to have heard me. "By the way, where's Thea at?" he asked. "She couldn't come, unfortunately. My grandfather has her on another assignment." Hercule groaned loudly. So loudly, everyone on the plane turned to stare at us. "What? My Thea is so adorable and she isn't here?" he started sobbing. I was very embarrassed. "Shh, please lower your voice. Everybody is staring at us." And to think, I was all set up to propose to her in Athens, he lamented, holding his snout in his paws. "I even bought her an engagement ring." I tried not to roll my eyes. "You can ask her another time." Hercule dried his tears. "I'll concentrate on my work. That's what I'll do. I'll try to distract myself by solving this Olympics mystery. That'll keep my mind off of Thea. Come on, Stilton. Don't be such a fly in the fondue. You know, this case could give us some great headlines for your newspaper." "I've already told you. I'm booked solid. I really can't help you," I protested. Hercule burst into tears again. "Oh, don't start that again," I begged him. He kept sobbing. Finally, I gave in. What else could I do? I'm a soft-hearted mouse. Okay, fine. Stop sniffling. What's the case all about? Instantly, he was all smiles. Take a look at the list of all the countries participating in the Olympics. Soon you'll understand. He glanced at his watch. I've got to go. I have a cheesecake to the passengers to serve. He paused for a moment, as if he just had an idea. By the way, my dear Stilton, since you're so kind, would you help me?